Hello, everyone, and welcome. As Tier 1 telecommunications companies are investing billions of dollars to improve mobile networks and roll out 5G, selecting where to invest first involves a complex and thorough market assessment. To roll out 5G networks cost efficiently, it takes a data-driven approach that combines powerful location intelligence with data analysis and visualization. Today, I've got two industry experts with me to tell us just how they are addressing some of these challenges and how they are working together to enhance tools needed for an efficient 5G rollout. And to find out more, I now look forward to our conversation with CEO M2Catalyst, Michael Bruff. Hi there, Mike.
Hello, hello.
Wonderful to have you, Mike. Thanks for joining in. And also, I would like to welcome Director Product Management, HERE Technologies, Mark Yao. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Yasmin. Good to be here.
It is great having you too. Now, starting out, Mike, you did hear the introduction. Of course, we know that a very important part of the 5G rollout is picking the right spot. Obviously, companies can't launch everywhere all at once. So identifying where it does make sense to start is key. But why is that so hard, Mike?
Well, it's hard, and there are a lot of critical things. Like with 5G densification, it would be really simple if there was an unlimited budget and no time pressure. But cost-effective 5G rollout is extremely challenging. Customers are really reluctant to pay a lot more for 5G. So they're already paying a lot more. But a lot of the analysts are saying, look, it looks like we're going to need 5 to 10 times more antenna locations, and MNOs really need to promote their 5G rollouts. So it's becoming extremely, cost prohibitive to roll out 5G everywhere. It's not like replacing the old 3G antennas with 4G antennas. There's all types of new sites. And then there's other complexities that have come in as well. There's pre-COVID network planning was one thing in urban centers, but then you go to post-COVID, era, or more people working in the suburbs. Or is there a blend? So when you have all that additional complexity of like 5 to 10 times more sites that you potentially need to put in over the next 3 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years, where do we go with that? Where are there no signal readings? Where is the data tonnage? Where is the indoor performance versus the network performance outdoors? Is there line of sight? So the challenges are really immense here. So it's that analysis of additional sites, that becomes really, really critical.
Thanks, Mike, for walking us through those main challenges and complexities. That gives us a better understanding. So naturally, the next question would be, how exactly are you helping MNOs circumnavigate these challenges that you just spoke of?
So the Crowdsource Intel platform that we've developed really helps the challenges in two different ways. So there's the data collection process, and then there's the data science process. So first, talking about the data collection envelope there, or that bucket of information. The traditional network performance testing of drive testing and walk testing is extremely expensive, but then you add all the complexities of more sites that are required all over the world. You need a different approach. So what we do is we crowdsource data, and we collect hundreds of billions of network performance data points through apps that we have in the marketplace. Now, we're very, very conscious about being a privacy, first company. It's not only GDPR compliance and CCPA compliance, but we need total transparency with the consumers, that we're collecting this data, and then we're improving the mobile experience, and then we're reporting back to the telecom community where there's poor signal readings and no signal readings. So we create this cycle of network improvement with total transparency to the consumers. Now, on the data science side, what do we do with that massive amount of data? And what we've done is we're working with our data scientists and experts there, where we have hundreds of terabytes of data and trillions of data points. What they're doing is they're automating these reports. So we've developed over the last 4 or 5 years this system that can automatically analyze, for example, 1,000 sites in an hour, versus traditional walk testing and drive testing. it would take a month to analyze a city and get 1 million data points, through a traditional drive test. And you can't get into all the buildings with walk testing with all the security these days. The other thing is we add like 24 months of historical data. So then the operators and big tower companies and telecom infrastructure companies, what they can do is they can look at pre-COVID network performance versus, during COVID and post-COVID, that might be a blend of network performance. So that reporting is available in minutes, not hours, and it's actually available globally across 200 countries right now.
Thanks, Mike. And this is actually where you built the perfect bridge for HERE Technology, because this is where HERE Technologies come in. Mark, how can you support? How does location technology help out here?
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. Well stated, Yasmin. So I think at a high level, a couple things, right? I think the first thing that we're trying to do is digitize the world in, initially 2 dimensions and then 3 dimensions, kind of create a basic digital canvas of the world, if you will. And then the second portion is then kind of enriching these digitized environments with other attributes to basically ultimately be able to enable extraction of meaningful insights. And this is what Mike had talked about through the M2Catalyst dashboard. And so in regard to, the types of things we're talking about, so it sort of starts out to build this canvas, things such as like, HERE maps, the traditional types of maps that you see except sort of digitized, building footprints, so representations of the outlines of buildings, then over time evolving into a sort of 3D and then digitized representations of even things like what we call road furniture. So that's kind of the start for this canvas, of course. Then we can then supplement this information with other HERE-developed data sets. So some of them could be static, some of them could be dynamic. And so these are things like places, which are basically enable you to actually ascertain not only is there a given building or footprint, but sort of what types of businesses reside there. Is it residential or commercial? Those types of things. Signal strength, stuff like that too. And then we take this canvas, and as Mike explained, we basically are able to then leverage M2Catalyst to take these capabilities, these data sets, and ultimately come out with insights. We see also within that kind of like an evolution where maybe it starts out in 2 dimensions primarily, like the footprints, over time evolves to 3D, adds different levels of geospatial and geometric precision over time, and sort of that evolution, and then adds more feature functionality over time. And ultimately, we're kind of moving towards, and I know it's a very overused term, commonly term in the industry, is kind of a digital twin of the world. And I think it's based off of that. And as Mike had kind of explained with the sort of complexities and the need for scale, et cetera, this is, I think, where the 2 companies are coming together. The last thing that I'll say briefly is that although we're working closely with M2Catalyst for sure, and that's the key part of this, there's also a lot of interoperability with other things. So there's certainly like GIS types of application software for those types of insights or design software. And it's this entire ecosystem together where we think we're able to kind of create the most powerful solutions.
Thanks, Mark. Now, circling back to you, Mike, could you quantify how using HERE data improves the M2Catalyst solution based on what we've just heard?
Yeah, definitely. The HERE M2 partnership that's just coming out here at Mobile World Congress is really about automating new site selection and speeding up this entire process. But there are a lot of critical challenges when people are working in that space of differentiating indoor network performance versus outdoor network performance. And the HERE, like our commercial grade building polygons, building footprints, bring a whole nother dimension to that. And M2 tried other sources like using open source and other vendors for mapping systems, and there were missing structures, no building data, there was no good upgrade to a 3D path. So we looked at this space really pretty intensely. We said, okay, HERE, not only do they have like the upgraded 3D data, but they just have these continuously improving maps, improved accuracy, improved metadata, information on building height. So when people start using the platform Crowdsource Intel, and initially we import the 2D building footprints, how do you analyze an urban canyon? Are there within those stores, or within large buildings, are there a lot of large stores and restaurants that could potentially cause a lot of foot traffic? So that type of information is available. What is the building height is available. And then what we do is we automate the process of analyzing like 1,000 buildings per hour. Or if we need to analyze, every hospital in a country, and do that very, very quickly, or a chain store, we want to look at 5,000 IKEA stores across Europe or 5,000 Walmart stores. How do you automate that process of looking at indoor versus outdoor? And then the last point is that HERE has got an excellent sort of future roadmap, and which is would be available to our customers today. So they start working on our Crowdsource Intel dashboard, but they need the 3D visualization for their network planning people. And they say, hey, we want to load 3D building polygons of the M2's Crowdsource Intel dashboard. Just found 15 areas that need network improvement. So how does then the HERE 3D LiDAR data that really gives all the details of that area, they could load that into ArcGIS, Esri, Atoll, or any of these other 3D visualization network planning systems, and then you've got this seamless transition to the 3D world of network planning through HERE.
Thanks, Mike, for giving us that exciting insight. Now, towards the end of our conversation, I would like to know what the future beholds. Let me stick to you, Mike. Why don't you tell us which future challenges you are perhaps currently working on and what we can expect in the near future to come?
Well, the future is definitely exciting. Initially, like I mentioned, there is the transition to the 2D world to the 3D world. But then how do you automate that process of network planning? So as an example, we've identified an area that needs improvement. Can you automatically look at solving the problem, in that city center with 10 small cells that are on lampposts? Compare that to putting antennas on several 2-story buildings, or can you solve the same problem with putting antennas on one 10-story building? So all of that analysis, we could end up then in the future start speeding that up. And then where it even gets more exciting is when you add artificial intelligence layer to this, and you can look at historical ground truth data of where were sites built, and then start predicting where MNOs are going to need the next site, and potentially would customers churn off the network? Can we help them save customers if we can get them to densify their network here a little bit more quickly? That speeding up of that process and adding AI layers could be really, really cool way to go in the future.
Thanks, Mike. We're looking forward to that. And Mark, I saw you nodding a lot out of the corner of my eye. What lies behind or beyond the horizon for HERE?
Sure, and Mike touched on a lot of the really cool ones as well. So certainly, thematically, we're kind of talking about digital twins, but in a high level, it's just the digitization of the real world, right? We want to try to do that with more and more levels of detail. So that's certainly a part of it. Another sort of attribute that we're sort of seeing that's also going to have to be sort of managed effectively is that these next generation networks are more dynamic. So being able to not only do a one-time type thing of the real world and to fix it and forget it, but rather being able to kind of keep up with, changes. So sort of change detection, sort of in the real world environment. And then just extensibility of the solution, right? So as Mike had mentioned, potentially like certainly maybe some of these applications would start in like the downtown city center areas, but to ultimately over time move to suburbs, exurbs, even rural areas. But to be able to have this sort of same scalability and to be able to offer uniformity in the solutions across the board. So those are several of the types of things. And then the last thing I'll say also is although this is certainly focused on network planning, and that's both, I think, where M2Catalyst and HERE are heavily focused, and certainly attributed to today's conversation. But we also see as over time, perhaps extending into other verticals and other use cases. So these could be anything from sort of smart city planning and these types of things, utility sector, and even to transport and logistics down the road.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you both of you. And since we basically only had time to graze the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, if our viewers out there would now like to learn more, where can they go to find out even more or find more in-depth information? Mike?
Well, from the M2 side, our website, M2Catalyst.com, or just email us, info@M2Catalyst.com. Is easy. And we can also set up like a free trial of our Crowdsource Intel platform and set it up for, anywhere in the world. to do a test, and then start playing with the platform.
Got it. Mark?
Yep, real simple, HERE.com. And as Michael brought up an excellent point, so there's also demo samples available as well for the sets, and that's how the two can actually do trials on the end-to-end solution from both Catalyst as well as the HERE systems.
Mark, Mike, you two, thank you so much for joining us today, and talk soon.
All right, thank you very much.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye now.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us as well. As Mark just mentioned, if you'd like to find out more, then be sure to visit us on HERE.com.